Here lies Halloween. This is Jaden's Videos, your host of the Macabre, and today we are going to be discussing the new for 2023 Party City and Halloween City Halloween animatronic lineup for this Halloween season. I am so excited to get into this because if Halloween City and Party City showed us anything last year, it's that they are really stepping up their game and becoming a huge contender in the Halloween industry. They released some absolutely awesome animatronics last year, unlike anything they've ever done before, and really are solidifying their position up there with Spirit Halloween, Home Depot, and all those other big Halloween retailers. And they are following up with that hype for 2023. We're gonna dive right into it. First off, we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 6-foot life-size Leatherface. I mentioned it in my Spirit video yesterday, and I am going to mention it today. There are 3 Leatherface animatronics this year. One at Lowe's, one at Party City and Halloween City, and one at Spirit Halloween. The Lowe's one I'm not too big of a fan of. The Spirit one we haven't seen yet, but it's the Pretty Woman Leatherface. I'm really excited to see it. And this Party City one looks incredible. Truly, it looks really, really awesome. It's such a fantastic Leatherface. It's going to be so hard figuring out which is going to be the better option between the Spirit and Party City one. That's why I'm really intrigued to see the Spirit one, to see what it's going to be like. But that one's the Pretty Woman Leatherface. For a more classic Leatherface look, we have this Party City one, which is him in the apron and the classic mask with the chainsaw, and it looks so great. I cannot wait to see what it does. I'm sure it probably lifts the chainsaw, turns side to side, something like that. But really with licensed animatronics, what I personally look for, because licensed things I wouldn't use in a haunt personally, because I like to create more original haunts, of course. But I love to have licensed animatronics for display pieces because I love horror. And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I've mentioned this before, is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. So I'm so excited that we're getting so many Leatherfaces this year. And this Party City one makes a great addition to the roster of the Leatherface animatronics. Next up is a really exciting one. This is the 12-foot Wendigo. We finally have a Wendigo animatronic. Wendigos are one of those monsters that have been overlooked for so many years, and I didn't even really think of them too much or know about them too much until only a few years ago, as they've caught on in popularity quite a bit, and I know people have been asking for Wendigos. They're a very ancient monster that originates in the northern United States, wilderness type regions, and I think Canada as well. And they have like a goat or deer type skull, and they're just really creepy. I think they're really awesome. I know Home Depot's giving us a Wendigo-esque thing this year, but it's not really the classic depiction of a Wendigo like this is. I wasn't sure how to think about it at first, because it's 12 feet tall, and I would have thought of a Wendigo being maybe like 7 feet tall, but they actually released a short clip that's been floating around that shows the neon ice cream clown and the Wendigo inside their headquarters, and this Wendigo looks awesome from the brief clips we saw of him. He turns his head in a really cool way. I would assume he's gonna make some kind of noise. If he doesn't, that's fine with me, because I think just his animation looks cool. This is really a cool animatronic that's really going to stick out. A 12-foot Wendigo is one of the last things I thought we'd be seeing, but I'm so happy that we're seeing it. Next up is another 12-foot one, the Towering Pumpkin Creep. This guy, again, is one that I wasn't sure what to think of at first until I took a closer look at him, and he's pretty awesome. His head sculpt looks really cool and very unique. It says that he surveys and looks at his prey, so I'd assume he's going to move side to side or move his head, but he's in a really cool stance, and he's just got a really unique look to him. This is one that I think makes a lot of sense being a 12-foot one. A lot of the 12-foot things are kind of just like oversized versions of what they are, which are great display pieces to draw attention, but this one I think is one that makes sense to be a 12-foot character that he could honestly work very well in a haunt. Or honestly, the first place I pictured him is on a haunted hayride because he's so big. This is what I'm really excited to see. I think he looks great, and he reminds me a lot of the Inferno Pumpkin Skeleton, but more pumpkin-esque. The Inferno Pumpkin Skeleton was a 12-foot pumpkin, but he was more like skeleton pumpkin fused. This is just complete classic pumpkin, which I really like. Next is another great one. Like I said, they're dropping left and right great animatronics this year. This one is the 9-foot drop down Scarecrow. This guy's super cool and is basically your classic Scarecrow in appearance and what he is. He looks like he's like on a cross. He doesn't come with a cross, but I'm sure if you built a cross behind him, it would look great. He looks like he's on a cross, how scarecrows stand out in the field, and it says that he drops down onto unsuspecting guests. That sounds like it's going to be awesome. That's a great jump scare, and it's something that they don't explore enough with scarecrows. A lot of times they try to make scarecrows into too much of characters, where they have more character to them instead of just being a creepy thing out in a field that suddenly comes to life, which is what a scarecrow is. This guy incorporates that, and it seems like he's going to seem like just an animate scarecrow until he activates and drops down on guests. I'm really excited to see this guy. This next one is the Mega Wolf at 9.5 feet tall. I'm gonna be honest, as much as I love werewolves, I'm not huge on this one, but I feel like seeing it in person and seeing its size could definitely change my opinion on that, because it's really big. And I really like the head on this one. I think the head sculpt is great, and I love the black fur. Reminds me of Wolfie. I love the black fur, and the blue eyes look cool too. The only thing that's keeping me from liking this one more is the body's kind of plain, like the clothing is kind of plain. I think it should have been like a plaid shirt or something, like werewolves usually have, a flannel shirt, a plaid shirt, whatever. But I think the head looks cool. I'm gonna have to wait to see this guy in person and get a full opinion on it. But we go from that one that I'm not too fond of to one that I actually really like, which is the 7.5 foot Mad Monster Marlin, a Frankenstein monster. We never get them. I'm happy to get another one. Now, again, I think I've mentioned this before, but I'd love to see the Universal Classic Monsters as licensed animatronics. We've only ever gotten one back in 2011 at Sphere Halloween, which was Frankenstein. I'd love to see another Frankenstein and the other Universal Classic Monsters brought back, because they shaped what Halloween and horror are. I'd love to see animatronics of them. But nonetheless, I really just like the iconic look of the Frankenstein monster, even though I like the actual Frankenstein monster best, of course. I love the spin-offs of him too, because it's such a classic Halloween symbol. And really, again, I don't like to use licensed things in haunts, and I know a lot of other people don't as well, because they like to do original haunts. And so things like this, if you want to do a lab and have a Frankenstein-like creature but not have it actually be from a movie, I feel like things like this are very useful, because they're reminiscent, but they're not. And this guy just looks great. I don't know, he looks like your classic Frankenstein, but he just pulls it off so well. He looks great in what he's trying to do. This next one is the Neon Ice Cream Clown. This guy was leaked a couple weeks ago, but now he's officially released, and I really honestly like him. At first, I liked him, and then I started to not like him too much, and now I've come back around to him. The one thing that made me like him a little bit less is because I was hoping the colors would be more toned down and faded. They're kind of vibrant, but you can easily just paint over that and redo that. But overall, I think it's a really well done clown, mostly because it's just so unique. Ice cream clowns is something I thought we should have gotten for a while now, because it's such a cool concept and it's creepy. It's kind of like the same concept of clowns luring kids in with candy, which we have gotten with Uncle Charlie, Candy Creep, stuff like that. But an ice cream clown is unexplored. And I think he has a great look. Like I said, I would like the colors to be a little more muted and creepy, old looking. They look a little vibrant. But I also kind of get what they were going for, because ice cream stuff usually has bright and vibrant colors. So he's called Neon because he's got neon lights around the sign, and he's got neon lights on the ice cream, I'm pretty sure, which is a really cool touch. He's got the same animation as Hugs the Clown, but I feel like just the more uniqueness of this guy and the cooler appearance makes me like this guy way more than Hugs the Clown. I've never been too huge on Hugs the Clown. I think this guy is like miles better than him in my opinion. I really like the Ice Cream Clown. This next one, it's only 3 feet tall, yet I think it's probably my favorite one from the lineup. It is the Bloody Ghost Treater. This thing is so cool. If you know anything about me, I love classic, traditional, vintage Halloween stuff. It's the core root of the holiday. And we never get... Last year, Party City did give us a trick-or-treating zombie boy. So that was really cool. But we don't often get trick-or-treater animatronics, which... they're not very versatile. You have to be doing something that makes sense with a display or a haunt to fit them in it, like a literal traditional Halloween display or haunt. You can't really branch out and put them in all sorts of different scenarios, but I would love to get more, and we finally got one that I think is really great looking. It's a ghost kid, and he's got blood dripping from the eyes, so he looks creepy. The ghost sheet is all old and weathered looking. And I love how he's holding the treat bag like this, kind of innocently, when you know by looking at him, he's definitely not an innocent trick-or-treater. I'm really curious to see what this guy does, but without a doubt, this is probably my favorite one from the lineup, which is crazy because there's so many cool things, there's so many giant things, so many really impressive things, but this guy just does it for me. He's just so classic Halloween. He does it for me. He's classic Halloween made scary, which is something we need more of. And I really like this guy, and I appreciate Party City for doing this. I'm going to briefly discuss this. I'm not really going to show the picture or anything because we already know what it is. The Rising Woman from last year is returning, which is cool to see. I don't know if there's going to be any other returning things or not, but so far she's the only confirmed one. But she is returning. This next one is probably my least favorite, but it could change because this guy's huge. A lot of times with the big ones, even if they don't look super cool in the pictures, it really takes seeing them in person to shape your opinion on them. This one's called the Possessed Pumpkin Patch at 9 feet tall. He just looks kind of plain to me in the clothes and everything. I think mostly it's that the Towering Pumpkin Creep is like the superior version to this, in my opinion. That it kind of sweeps this one under and kind of makes it a little less amazing, but also that's going to depend on what it does. This one doesn't even really have a description on what it does, and so I don't really know. It's really going to depend on if it does something really cool, who knows, but right now it's my least favorite, but it's still not bad. None of these are bad. These are all very solid animatronics. Last but not least is the Lunging Black Angel of Death, who I didn't like that much at first. I don't know why, because I love gothic stuff. But for some reason, I just didn't like him that much at first. Probably because we've seen so many Winged Reapers and stuff in recent years, and just Reapers in general we've gotten a lot of. But this guy looks really cool. He's completely black, and I think that's really awesome. Even his skull, he's got blue light-up eyes. It looks like he's holding a scythe and some withered flowers. And really, I think the biggest appeal to this guy is that it says lunging, which is different for a Reaper character like this. Usually they just stand there and like flap their wings or something, or just stand there and move their head and talk. This guy lunges. That's different, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Pair that with the really cool looking aesthetic overall design of this guy, and I think he could be a really cool one. Those are the Party City and Halloween City Halloween animatronics of 2023. Keep in mind a few of these are going to be exclusive to Halloween City, while some of them will be sold at both retailers. But regardless, I'm very excited to see videos on these, and I'm very excited for Halloween City to open and for Party City to get their stuff. It's something that I really look forward to each Halloween season now, ever since Halloween City has really just become a huge staple of it in the past few years. Just going into Halloween City, something about it just feels so old school Halloween to me. It's still got that old school Halloween store vibe, yet with some really innovative and cool stuff that I just really appreciate the direction that Halloween City's going in. It's a far stretch from where they were a couple years ago, and they've really come a long way, and I cannot wait to see this stuff in person. Some truly great things and some truly cool things that I am definitely taking interest in purchasing from Halloween City and Party City this Halloween season. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Remember that Halloween lies here.